Hey guys, and welcome back for another tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you a new mask pattern. So I have two other mask patterns on this channel, the surgical style and then the full face mask, which is this one. This one did really well and I got a lot of great reviews on this one. I have the child size, small, medium, and large patterns available over at the blog. So I'll leave the links down in the description box below for this one. But today I want to do a different style that I've been seeing around and I thought that it looked interesting. And my kids love this type of mask, but sometimes they say it's a little bit uncomfortable. So I just wanted to see what else was out there. And this particular mask promised that it kind of comes off of your face so that it allows you to speak better. So I just want to give it a go. This one they have been calling the 3D mask. So you may have seen this before. So this is how it looks, and then this is the inside. And I'm just going to put it on for you. So that's how it looks on. This one's also great because it has this little peak here, so it'd be perfect if you wanted to add a metal nose piece. This one is only 2 layers of fabric, so it's a little bit less. I find, especially in the heat, the air just gets thicker and it's harder to breathe. So this one I think I will be using especially around this time of year. But I really like the design of it and I want to show you guys how to make it. So I'm going to have a small, medium, and large measurements over at the blog post. So I'll have those linked down in the description box. And let's get into the tutorial. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a closer look of the mask. Don't forget that the pattern will be in the description box as well as the information icon in the top right hand corner of this video. I'm using cotton and then of course my choice of elastic for around the ears. So the first thing you're going to do is get your 2 fabrics. I'm using this floral print and then a solid cotton for the lining. Like I said, this is a very easy pattern to adjust if you want to put in the metal nose piece. So the first thing you're going to do is create our shape. So we will be snipping off the corners of this. So the first thing I'm going to do is take the 2 fabrics, put them with the right sides together. And because this is the medium size, we're going to be marking 1.5 inches in from each corner. And then we will connect that with a drawn line. You don't have to draw this line out, of course. If you want to just snip it off with your rotary cutter, you can do that. But just for demonstration purposes, I'm just showing you that I am measuring in at 1.5 inches and then I am drawing a line to connect them and then I will cut off each of those corners. Now for each pattern there will be a different measurement for this, so you definitely want to get that when you go over to the blog. So next we're going to start sewing. We're going to sew just where I am pointing, so it's kind of hard to explain, but we're going to sew down those short sides that we snipped, the longest side, and then we're going to do that on the opposite side. So we're going to leave the sides open. So we're just going to do 1/4 inch seam allowance. This is a really quick and easy pattern, especially once you get going. And if you want to, do batch making, you can make a ton of these in no time at all. So I did one side, so I'm going to take it off the sewing machine, snip my threads, and then we're going to do the other side. So once we're done that, we're going to flip the whole thing right side out. And of course, there are 2 sides that are open, so just pick a side and then you can use that to flip the piece right side out. And then we're going to make sure that we poke out all of the little corners and we're going to take it over to the ironing board and give it a quick press, and that's going to keep everything nice and crisp. And I highly recommend using an iron for every step of this process. Now we're going to do a top stitch along the same edges that we just sewed before. So I'm just going to bump my machine up to a 3 stitch length. I like to use that for when I'm doing my top stitching. And then after this step, once we have those 2 sides sewn, then that is when you can insert a nose piece if you have the little metal nose pieces. or a pipe cleaner. So you're just going to stick it into the holes that we left, you know, the raw hole. Just stick it right inside, and then we're going to find the center of the top of the mask, and then you can just sew it right in there, right up against that top stitching, and then just sew a rectangle box around it just to keep it into place. But you'll see very soon how the mask takes shape and where exactly you will be putting that little nose piece. So now we're going to fold up the bottom of the mask, and we're just going to measure it about 2 inches in, and we're going to do the same thing with the top of the mask. I'm just making sure that it's about 2 inches, and then I'm going to do another quick press just to make sure everything is nice and even, and you know, the whole thing isn't crooked or anything. And then we're going to pop it into the sewing machine, and we're going to do a top stitch along those folds, and that's just going to permanently keep that folded. And again, I'm going to do that 3 stitch length. So I'm just going to go right along that edge with a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. And this is just going to make it, it almost makes it look like it's 2 separate pieces of fabric, but it's not. Okay, so this is how it should look, and we are almost finished. Now we're just going to do a couple more folds. So we're going to take the, we'll call it a flap. We'll take this little flap here, and we're going to fold it back up onto itself. And we'll fold it in half. And I'm just going to clip that down for now. And then I'm going to turn it around, and I am again going to take the second flap, and I will fold it back onto itself and clip that down into place. So to keep these pieces here, I'm going to fold the sides in, and it's going to do like a double duty. So we're just going to fold it once, and then we'll fold it again, and we're going to fold it up to those where the little triangle goes off. So when you sew along this edge to sew down this fold, it's going to keep those flap folds, for lack of a better term, and also the casing for your elastic down all in one piece. So I'm just moving those clips to hold down those folds, and that is how it's going to look. So we're just going to do a quick seam right along here, and it does get a little bulky, I'm not going to lie. So depending on your sewing machine, I would definitely use the strongest needle you have, and make sure you're all nice and oiled up and all those things, just in case you might have a little bit of difficulty getting through this. I actually like to go and use my leather needles because my machine kind of sucks, and yeah. So, but it's quite a few layers, so you want to have something nice and strong to be able to get through them. But you have then created the casing for your elastic also, and then you're pretty much done with your mask, and this is how it's going to look. But then we're just going to kind of poof out the flaps, and we will give it a press to just create its form, and we will insert our elastics, and then they're pretty much done. I think it is so cute. So I'm just going to do that for you so that you can see. I'm just going to give it a press, and I really like having it nicely pressed because it really is just easier to put on when it's already opened like this. If you were to keep it in its flat form, then when you go to put it on, it's kind of a pain. It doesn't really, you know, you have to open it, and it's just, you'll know when you make one. So I'm just taking a little bobkin here. You know, I've been sewing for a very long time, but believe it or not, I just learned what a bobkin was like a year ago. So I finally have one. But it's great for getting through larger casings. It's not great for getting through smaller ones. That's why I have my big darning needle there. So if you have a smaller casing, I love using the darning needle. But for this, the bobbin worked great. So I am using a paracord. You can use any elastic that you have. I would love to give you the measurements for that elastic, but each elastic has their different elasticity. You know how much they're gonna stretch for you. So like for this one, I did use a 12-inch piece for both sides, but it's kind of a tighter elastic. So, you know, you just have to gauge with your elastic. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Of course, don't forget to share with your friends. If you make them, I would love to see them. So share over on Facebook and Instagram. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next tutorial. Bye guys!